The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
Station atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Wednesday, May 9th, Thursday, May 10th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, live from the Great White North in the Caribou region on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network. You can also watch us live on periscope.tv right now and every Monday through Friday night. Head to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't mind. That's where we store our archives for free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Now, if you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, we got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read up on the encounter online, dealing with everything paranormal, strange, and odd. You can also read up on my latest blog and check out great videos from UFO seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. We're getting in the run. It is hump day here on the West Coast. We're almost at the weekend, and it's going to be a great time tonight. I think you're going to enjoy tonight's story and interview for the first 2 hours. Hour number 3, Spaced Out Sundays, Tessa Nicole Thomas is coming on in. But tonight we got a great guest. Julia Sellers, all the way from Slovakia, is on the air with us tonight. I Have Seen It Tomorrow is a fascinating book. It is informative, profound with its implications, the accounts from two individuals who have personally and regularly experienced out-of-body experiences. That's what we're getting into tonight, because there is a wealth of information and detail that takes the reader on a journey of exploration with extraordinary detail of what it can be like to explore the multidimensional nature of reality. It answers many questions about the possible nature of reality, our interactions, non-human intelligence, and so much more. So stick around for this ride. This is going to be a lot of fun the next 2 hours. Julia Sellers, welcome to Spaced Out Radio, all the way from Slovakia. I'm glad you know English, because it's one of 7 languages that you speak.
Well, hi, Dave. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you tonight, and thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, English is, I know English pretty well, and yeah, and the other languages, they're kind of similar, Russian, Ukraine, Polish, Czech, Slovak, but then there's German that's not similar to the Slavic languages. But yeah, I mean, I can get around with them,
I think it's brilliant. I feel so pitifully remorseful now that I only know one language, and my relatives are from the Ukraine, and
yeah,
you and I could
great.
totally be having this conversation in Ukrainian tonight, but alas, I do not know I know a couple words, but that's about it. It's
Okay.
terrible. It's terrible, but that's okay. We got you in English. Everybody will understand, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Now, with you, Julia, because we're speaking in North America here, there may not be a lot of people who are very familiar with who you are and the work that you do. What got you so intrigued with out-of-body experiences and writing about them?
Well, the thing is that it happened, the out-of-body experiences spontaneously started happening to me, back in 1995. And until that day that I had the first out-of-body experience, right, I did not know what they are. I didn't even know that that the phenomenon of out-of-body experiences was there in the first place, right? So basically, it happened to me back in the 90s for the first time, out of the blue, spontaneously, and that's how it started all. The first time or the first night that I experienced my out-of-body experience for the first time, it was kind of like really, funny to me, because I went to bed, as I normally, did all, I was asleep and everything. Now, suddenly, I woke up in the middle of the night, so I was awake and I knew I was, but I could tell that I was out of body, right? Now, what does it mean to be out of body, you ask? Well, it means that I found myself, hovering on the ceiling. But when I say I found myself up on the ceiling, it doesn't mean that my physical body was there, right? Physically. Well, guess what? I could see my physical body on my bed, right? It was asleep. It was not moving. But a part of my physical body that I call the consciousness, the center of awareness, the point of awareness, the self, the higher self, the soul, the etheric body, the parasomatic body, whatever we want to call it, right? It was up on the ceiling, right? Now, I was able to watch myself from the ceiling, right? Now, all my physical senses, right, were intact. So they were there just because I was asleep, right? My physical body was asleep. It didn't mean that the vision was not there, that my ears were not listening to something, that the tactile perception was not there. It was there, and I could experience an enhanced sensual perception. What it means, right? It means that I could see, not with my physical eyes again, because I was asleep. So my physical eyes were closed, but I still was able to see. And the way I was able to see was 360 degrees around, right? So it's called the so-called circular or global vision, which means that I was able to see everything in front of me, in the back, and from all sides, right? So I was able to see 360 degrees around. I was able to hear not only what was happening in my room, but also what was happening in the other rooms and on the street, right? So I knew, I was aware of someone talking on the street, right? I was aware of my roommate that was sitting next in the next room, right? And I could hear her talking. I was aware of a TV show that she was watching at the time because her TV was on. So I could hear all the things happening around in my room, next door, on the street. Now, I was able to smell certain odors, right, or smells that clearly were not associated with anything in my room. I smelled certain flowers that were not there at the time, like roses, right? I could smell a cigarette smoke, and yet no one was smoking around in the room. You know, I certainly was not smoking, and no one was around me, right? But still, the cigarette smoke was there, right? I could taste certain tastes on my tongue, although I was not eating. So there was a sense of sugar and honey. Sometimes it was switched to a taste that was kind of like sour or like a rotten apple or something, you know. But what I want to say is that the smells and odors actually were there in the form of information, right? Now, you could detect the smell, and if you were sensible enough, or if you are sensible enough, you could withdraw words, images, and information from the smells and odors around you, right? I know that sounds funny, but you do not get information from the light, from the electromagnetic radiation solely, but you can withdraw information from different kinds of smells, different odors, and what you have. Now, what as I said before, my tactile perception was intact as well. So it was there. Although I was not touching anything, because again, my body was fast asleep on my bed, right? I could detect information about objects in the room via touching. Although I did not touch them physically, right? My hand was not, touching the object. I still had a comprehension or basic perception of the objects that were in my room at the time. So say if I wanted to know, okay, what object is right behind me, right? I could tell by touching it at distance, if that makes sense. Now, the touching did not feel like a regular touching, that you go and touch a chair, but I would have solid information on what the object behind me was, the texture, the temperature, what it was made of, like it was from a wood, it was from a metal, or it was plastic. So what I'm saying is that when you experience an out-of-body experience, depending on what level, what stage, what kind of out-of-body experience, you can learn a lot of things happening around you when you're out of body. You can detect information at distance. Now, also, it's interesting that the out-of-body experiences, right, are not just one kind or one type of an experience, right? Rather, it's very diverse, right? And it has many common elements, okay? Now, the characteristics or typology categories of out-of-body experiences are not that well known by the contemporary science as of today. You know, the science would not even agree on a specific definition of what an out-of-body experience is, but there are certain common elements that an out-of-body experience always have, right? And I would say that number one, typical for out-of-body experience is that there is a sense of the so-called elevated visual spatial perspective, right? And when I say elevated, it means that your center of awareness, yourself, your consciousness, okay, your higher self is being detached from your physical body, and there is an elevated perspective. So that means that you are able to see your physical body from an elevated perspective. That's number one. It's a typical element. It's something that is there every time you experience out-of-body experience. If there's no elevated perspective, then you do not have out-of-body experience, right? Why am I saying that? Because you have certain experiences that are very close to out-of-body, full-blown out-of-body experiences, but they are OBE-like experiences. They are not true out-of-body experience, right? And number one, you have to be aware of a elevated perspective. The visual spatial perspective is elevated. It's not egocentric. It's not bodily. So basically, you are no longer in your body, and you know you are not. So number two, there's a clear cut, or rather, there's 100%. There's a sense of 100%. A disembodiment from your physical body, right? So unless you feel or you're able to sense somehow the disembodiment, then it's not out-of-body experience, right? So as I said, number one, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you about, let's finish up with what you think an out-of-body experience is, and then I got a couple questions to ask you in regards to that.
Okay. So number one, the elevated, right? The visual spatial perspective. Number two, there's a clear disembodiment. So you know that my physical body is somewhere else where myself is, where the soul is, where the parasomatic body, etheric body, whatever I want to call it, right? Now, number three is that you are that all of your physical senses are in an enhanced perception. What it means is that you are able to perceive what I called hyperreality. So things are more than real, right? They are hyperreal. Everything that's happening around you, you are able to see, you're able to listen to, you're able to touch, you're able to touch a distance, you're able to smell. There's the gustatory perception, and everything is very much intensified. It's like a hyperreality happening around you. So those are the three must elements, right? Or must characteristics of out-of-body experience. Other than this, it's not an out-of-body experience. And we can talk about out-of-body-like experiences or experiences that are similar to out-of-body, but yet they are not the full-blown out-of-body experiences. because, you have people reporting experiencing out of body as a part of near-death experiences, right? Or the out-of-body experiences could be induced by trance, meditation, contemplation, hypnosis, praying. Now they're happening to epileptic people, or rather to pathological population, but the people that are suffering from epilepsy or different ictal states, right? Now you have them with cardiac arrests, you have them with brain injuries, right? You even have them during life-threatening situations, right? When you undergo a sudden shock, you can easily get out of body, right? Now, if you exercise and if you are engaged in activities such as extreme exercising, you can get out of body, right? Now, the out of body could be elicited artificially when you take, certain drugs, ayahuasca, hallucinogens, marijuana, which you have, right? So now there could be out of body experiences that feel like real, but yet they're called out-of-body parts distortions. They are created under a virtual reality setting, right? They're created artificially, right? And that's something else, that the organic, spontaneous out-of-body experience, right? You can have the so-called IBS, which is illusory body sensation or perception, abnormal body parts distortion, when you feel like your limbs or your arms or your legs are shortening or stretching out, right? These are all illusions, and they are not part of the real out-of-body experiences. Now, as I said before, the science as of today, they would not agree on what a full-blown out-of-body experience is, right? Now, but let me tell you also that the scientists, right, would study a lot of out-of-body experiences and pathological population. There are people, as I said, suffering from epilepsy, schizophrenia, certain brain damage, or different pathologies, right? Ictal states and stuff. Now, but we need more scientists, okay, to be able to study full-blown out-of-body experiences in healthy population, which means that they are happening to people with no pathologies. They're completely healthy, healthy individuals that have organic, spontaneous out-of-body experiences under full consciousness. That means that they're not sleeping, they're fully awake, fully functioning, right, in a waking state, and sometimes in an active state, right? What does it mean, an active state? It means that you could be working behind a computer, you could be at work, at your office, and suddenly the next thing you know, you're taken out of body. You can be walking on the street and get out of body. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to be asleep, right? My book deals with out-of-body experiences of an individual, right, who happens to be my husband, right, Michael. Now, Michael was born with out-of-body experiences, right? He has been having them since he can remember, since he was a toddler, small baby. And, he continues until today. He has them every day, and he has them organically, spontaneously, under full consciousness and a waking state and in an active state. It means that he could be working behind his computer at work, right? The next thing he knows, he's out of body, right? So this is what my book is dealing with. I'm talking about out-of-body experience experiences of an individual who happens to have them since he was born, right? My book, and for those who want to get the book, it's available on Amazon.com. My book was written under the pseudonym, right? So if you're looking for my book, do not look under Julia Sellers, but rather look under Iris Christ. It's KRST. You know, I wrote the book under the pseudonym because Michael is not ready to get out of a closet yet. You know, he's not comfortable with his out-of-body experiences. That, as I said, he's been experiencing over 40 years now. And has been traveling vast distances. He has seen a lot of things, but yet he's not comfortable, talking about it yet. So he asked me to, write a book under the pseudonym, which I did. And, when you look at Michael's out-of-body experiences that are there since he was born, he has them every day. He has a couple of them every day. But if we only count one of out-of-body experience per day, he would have over 15,000 as of today. If you count 2 out-of-body experiences a day for him, he would have over 30,000 out-of-body experiences as of today, which is crazy. So the out-of-body state of mind is his world, so to speak. He lives out-of-body literally, and it's not fun because sometimes he would be out of body when he appreciated it the least, or when he does not want to be taken out of body, but he cannot help it. He's just taken out of body, and he has to take the out-of-body experiences, so to speak. So you had some questions, right, Dave? Or
let's get to your experience right off the bat with you when you first had your out-of-body experience in the mid-90s. Was it something that you were prepared for or trying to accomplish, or did it happen just spontaneously? Pardon me.
Yeah. I was not ready for it at all. As I said, I did not even know what an out-of-body experience was back then. I never heard of them, and when it happened to me the first time, I was really scared. I did not know what it was. But I remember, and I specifically remember when I had it back in 1995, that I could hear at that night, right, when I woke up, I just heard a specific type of vibration. Now, the vibration was very similar to buzzing of bees, or like a fly, buzzing around. And the next thing I know was that I clearly felt as if the flow of energy rose from my coccyx bone. It's a tailbone that's sitting at the base of your spine, right, where the Kundalini energy supposedly sits, right? And I could just feel the flow of energy rose from a coccyx bone all the way up through my back, and with the speed of light, it exited my skull in the area of a fontanelle. Fontanelle is a part of your skull. It's on top. Top of your skull, and my energy just gets straight out of there. And as it went out of my skull, right? That's when I got out of body, right? I felt like my whole body was on fire, and I could feel an extreme heat, and I was to the point that I was afraid of my body undergoing the so-called self-combustion, right? It was like my whole body was on fire, and I was not sure whether it was or it was not, but it felt like that, definitely. Now, when the energy hit the skull, and it went out through the fontanelle, and it went out into the open, was the point when I was taken out of my body. Now, interestingly enough, I I experienced the sense of kind of like detaching from my physical body, right? And I was able to see my body on my bed, and it was asleep. But again, what ended up on my ceiling was able to see, to hear, to touch, to smell, and to experience others, right? Now, sometimes when I'm out of body, I only experience a strange feeling of floating in space, right? And shortly after, I experienced the flowing, right? I realized that I was pulled out of my body. I'm still talking about my first out of body, right? And it was funny because I literally slide out of the body. First the head and then the feet follow, right? Now, basically, what I think happened was that the consciousness gradually left the body, slipping out of it through the feet. And if I remember correctly, when leaving my body, I had a feeling as if I was facing the ground when I was leaving the body. I was facing the ground, right? The floor in the room or my carpet, right? And this is the way I left the body. So I was not facing the ceiling when I was leaving the body. Rather, I was facing the ground. Now, it was as if I was laying on my stomach in the bed, and then I clearly remember, that I was lying on my back, actually, physically, and leaving my body face down, if it makes sense. Now, the next thing I knew was that some identified force kind of was pulling me out more and more, right? So, in other words, my consciousness was actually moving through the body backward, ended up on the ceiling, right? And from the ceiling, it was taken out of the window. And again, I was really afraid, right? So it wasn't me wishing for leaving the ceiling and experiencing the outside world, because I was afraid, what was happening. So despite of my fear, there was a force that just taken me out of the window, right? And the window was closed. So what I'm saying is that when you're out of body, you can move through doors, you can move through walls, you can move through windows, you just move through objects, right? They are not in a way, right? So I was taken out of a window, I ended up on a tree. And then I remember that it felt like I was being pulled through a tunnel. And this is the tunnel experience. And it's really funny because you would have people near death experiencing the so-called tunnel experience, right? The NDEers, or people who experience the so-called near-death experience, they would be talking about the tunnel experience. They would be sucked in the tunnel against their will automatically via resonance, and here they are in the tunnel, and they see the end of a tunnel with a light at the end of it, right? So I was sucked into the tunnel, even though I was not dying, right? And this is interesting because you would have a group of scientists that would tell you that, oh, wait a minute, the tunnel experience only happens with people who experience near-death experiences. And you would have a group of scientists who would tell you, oh, okay, we heard of instances where just out-of-body experiencers would experience the tunnel experience, right? So the tunnel experience happened to me, happened to Michael, and we were not dying. So I just want to say that, hey people, you can experience a tunnel experience not only if you're dying, so not only during your near-death experience, but it's something which can happen also during an out-of-body experience, right? So while in the tunnel, I was flying at a tremendously high speed. It was really high. And it's funny because I did not see any light at the end of a tunnel. I did not, right? Like mostly, people who are dying would experience the light at the end of a tunnel, and they would experience certain non-intelligent, non-human intelligences, or certain high-level being, standing there at the end of a tunnel. Sometimes they would be returned back into the tunnel by the non-human intelligence, telling them, "Oh, it's not your time to die yet. Go back." But I did not see or experience any light at the end of a tunnel. Now, when it comes...
Can I sneak in a question there in regards to no light at the end of the tunnel? I would really push that more towards a near-death experience rather than an out-of-body experience. So what do you define the difference between the two then?
Oh yeah, there is a huge difference, because as I said, you can. Well, let me tell you this: that to my mind and to my understanding, each near-death experience would have an out-of-body experience in it, but out-of-body experience does not require near-death experience. So again, when you have an out-of-body, you do not have to have near-death experience necessarily. But when you are dying, when you have a near-death experience, there must be out-of-body experience, because you have to leave your body when you're dying, number one, right? Now, actually, a recent study on near-death experience and near-death experience memories would tell you that individuals who experienced near-death experience, right, reported the near-death experience memories as real events with a high emotional content when compared to a real or imagined memories. Now, it's funny because as I said, the two phenomena, the near-death experience and out-of-body experience, should not be confused with each other. Although a majority of near-death experiences, as I said, report the tunnel experience, okay? Such an experience could also be a part of out-of-body experience. That's number one point that I would wish to make when talk about near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. However, the near-death experiences are happening when people are dying, when you're involved in a car crash, when you have cardiac arrest. So basically, near-death experiences are elicited by a sudden shock, right? When you're dying, it's a shock to everyone, right? When you're involved in a car crash, car accident, that's a shock to your physical body. So, while out-of-body experiences do not have to be elicited by fear, right, or sudden, shock events, the near-death experiences are majority of them would happen when people are experiencing a sudden shock, right? Now, when it comes to phenomenology and semiology of out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, right, there are certain similarities, right? So, for instance, when you are dying or when you're undergoing an out-of-body experience, you hear certain sounds, right? Much louder than they normally would be. As I said again, you would smell everyday odors, okay, in an unusually strong way, okay, comparing to when you're not out of body or when you're not experiencing near-death experience. Now, the next thing is that your skin is more sensitive to touch, to heat, to experiencing of cold, more sensitive than usual, right? Now, when you are having an out-of-body experience or when you are dying, sometimes in both cases, but majority of NDEers would report encounters with what I call non-human intelligence or some religious mystical beings, right? So this would be happening in both cases. When you're out of body, right, you can visit certain non-worldly places. You can interact with non-human intelligences, right? You can talk with mystical religious persons or beings and or the so-called sense presences, okay? The science would call them sense presence. There's a phenomenon of a so-called sense presence that is around when people are dying, or that they can be around when you're experiencing out-of-body experience. And what does it mean? The perception of a so-called sense presence means that rather than seeing, okay, a being of light or a non-human intelligence, you sense them. You know that they are there. You can telepathically interact with them. You can sense them via distance, but you do not see them physically. You just sense them. And that's, yeah.
So it's all energetic.
Definitely it is. You don't, not necessarily you have to see physically with your eyes or with your third eye some physical beings. No, you just sense them. And sensing means that you are able to telepathically interact with them. You talk to them via images, via words, via, the whole sentences just suddenly out of the blue appearing in your mind, and you can read the sentences, you can read the specific words. Sometimes there are no words, no sentences, but still you're able to interact. And you interact via symbols. Sometimes there are just symbols, metaphors, different geometrical shapes that you draw information from. So it does not have to be a physical being that you see physically, that it has certain shapes. No, but you are able to telepathically interact. And what is telepathy? Telepathy does not mean that you interact via distance with a speech. There could be either speech going on, as I said, exchange of words, whole sentences, but you can interact telepathically, getting the right information through your skin, through your nose, through your ears, through your tongue, the gustatory perception, the olfactory perception via your nose. You can get information with your skin where there's a melanin. Melanin is a pigment that is sitting just under your skin, and melanin has the ability to take information not only in the form of a light, which is electromagnetic radiation, but also in the form of a so-called sound, mechanical longitudinal vibration. That is, mechanical vibration has nothing to do with electromagnetic vibrations, right? So yeah, you detect with your skin certain vibrations via resonance. And the next thing you know that, hey, I'm able to translate the vibrations into whole words, into whole images. That's what telepathy is about. Your hair is telepathic. You can get information through your hair, as I said, through your skin, through your bones, through different organs in your body. And that's not funny because people would laugh over that. But no, you can withdraw information with your guts, okay, with your guts, with your liver, with your heart. What I'm saying is, as your organs, right, sitting within your physical body, it's their cells that can get the information. Because when we talk about cells, right, you have the so-called cellular memory. And make no mistake about it, consciousness does not sit in your brain. The consciousness, as we know it, sits, or rather is spread throughout all your physical body, starting with your head, with your skull, with your brain, going down through your physical body to your toes. So what I'm saying is that consciousness is spread throughout your whole physical body. It sits in each of your cell, and it's intact, right? It's live, it's sitting there ready to get information, right? So cellular memory is something which really exists, is intact, and is not only your brain, but rather the cells in your body, that we have billions of them, right? They're responsible for receiving information. So it's not your brain, but rather your heart and other parts of your organs that are more important than your brain. Your brain is just a small part of your body that sits in the skull, sits in the head, and is there as a mediator. But the real information is coming from the self, from your cellular memory, from the cell membrane that have the capacity to interact, telepathically interact, if that makes sense. Anyway.
I'm having a little bit of a laugh here because every time I write down a question that I want to ask you, you actually answer that question about 30 seconds
I know.
Afterwards.
I know that.
What is your telepathy with the way this interview is supposed to go right now?
Actually, it's funny because I know this is happening to me, but the thing is that I am not doing it on a conscious level. I can feel it happening, feel the flow of the interview, or I know there's a telepathic connection going on. But if you ask me specifically, I cannot tell you that, hey, Dave, I set it up like that, I structured it like that. No, it's happening organically from 1 second to another. And it's like a flow that is happening to me and that I can interact with. I can feel it's happening, but I cannot set it logically or reason-wise. I'm not planning on it, but I know it's happening. Why I give it a green light, it's just happening spontaneously without my left part of the brain, the logical part of the brain, even interacting, So I just let it go. I just let it flow. And this is how it happens, So that's my answer to you, if it makes sense.
I think it totally does. Does. So what is the difference then between an out-of-body experience and, say, someone who is astral projecting themselves?
Oh, huge difference, Dave. There's a huge difference, and I'm glad that you asked that because that was I wanted to continue about that. So you're telepathic with me too because you just asked me something I wanted to talk about. Now, well, astral travel or astral projection is something that is happening to you while you are asleep, right? So when your body is asleep, right, you do not have to be necessarily dreaming. Dreaming part of a sleep cycle is just a small REM part, the rapid eye movement part when you're dreaming. But when you are asleep, which means that you do not interact on the waking state level, okay, there's the full consciousness is no longer there. So you are astral projecting when you are sleeping, while you are out of body projecting when under full consciousness when you are awake in a waking state. That's number one difference. So what I'm trying to say is that if you are sleeping, you are out of body, but guess what? You are out of body in your in your sleeping state, right? You are sleeping being out of body. You are not waking being out of body. You are not under full consciousness being out of body. And that's a huge difference, because when you are asleep, okay, you are sleeping and you are out of body, you can experience the so-called lucid dreams, which means that you are sleeping, you are having a dream, and this dream seems like it is real. But guess what? It's not real because you are sleeping. So what I'm saying is that if you are awake and you know you are, and you experience yourself out of body, you see your physical body on the bed, whatever, you are floating about your body while in a waking position, right? Or while in a waking state, that's out of body. But if you are astral traveling in your sleep, right, that's the lucid dreaming, so-called lucid dreaming. The lucidity is there. You feel like everything is real, but you are not awake, okay? Now, you know when you're awake and when you're not, because being awake and being asleep, or rather having an out-of-body experience in a waking state and being astrally projected in the sleep or in sleeping state, are two distinct kinds of perception and feeling. So in the first instance, you are awake and you know you are. In the second instance, you are dreaming and you know you are. Sometimes when you're dreaming and you experience the so-called lucid dream or astral, whatever, you basically are able to navigate your own dream. So number one, you are able to tell yourself in your dream that, hey, I know I'm dreaming and I could do within the dream what I want to. So you navigate your dream. You meet people you want to in the dream. You see things you want to in your dream. If for instance someone is attacking you in your dream, and you tell yourself, right? You tell yourself, oh, whatever, I'm just dreaming and I know this is a dream, nothing can happen to me. That kind of stuff is happening to you when you are astral projected in your dream. You're undergoing the so-called lucid dream, which has nothing to do with out-of-body experience. It's very, very similar, but there is the but, and the but is that when you're out of body, you know you are because you are in a waking state. And you know you're in a waking state because you know, right now I am awake and I know I am. I can feel it. But sometimes I have lucid dreams and I know I'm lucidly dreaming. I'm out of body projecting in my dream. But still I am aware of the fact that it's happening within my sleeping cycle, within my dream. And I can tell the difference. So that is the difference, right? Now, so astral travel or astral projecting is happening while you are sleeping, right? And mostly in your dream when you experience the so-called REM stage. Now, there were certain, scientists that would tell, oh, wait a minute, could it be that the full-blown out-of-body experience can happen out of the REM state of dreaming or sleeping cycle? So basically what they were saying is that you are sleeping and then suddenly you wake up and found yourself out of body. So what I'm saying is that yes, that scientists are right, because I have many out-of-body experiences happening to me after I woke up from my dream. So what I'm saying is that I was astral projecting, still asleep, but after I woke up, right, I knew I was out of body, hovering on the ceiling, but it was already in the waking state. So what I'm saying is that sometimes you would have like the borderline between out of body and the dreaming, in that you feel the same things happening to you, but one is when you are dreaming, the other is when you're awakened already, and the borderline states have are called scientifically, I'm not sure whether you heard of it or not, hypnopompia or hypnagogia. Now, hypnagogia is a state when you're falling asleep. When you're falling asleep and you're half sleeping, half awake, it's called hypnagogia, or the so-called hypnagogic state of mind, when you can get out of body. So what I'm saying is that instead of being fully asleep, you can just kind of go back into the waking state and get out of body, because hypnagogia is already half state. You're half awake, half, asleep, but still it's not 100% full of it's not 100% fully awake, or it's not 100% fully asleep. Now the other state is when you're coming back from sleep and you are waking up, right? It's called hypnopompia or hypnopompic state of mind, when you basically can get full-blown out-of-body experience, coming back from your dream,
right,
coming or waking up, right? So
I gotta cut you off right there, because we are about to step out for our commercial break here at the top of the hour. Julia Sellers is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. She's an author, researcher into out-of-body experiences, other dimensions. We got one more hour with her before hour number 3, where we will be joined by Spaced Out Sunday host Tessa Nicole Thomas. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back with hour number 2 right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty, from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hey Space Travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, California paranormal researcher Nicole Strickland will be with us. We're going to talk paranormal practices starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR radio network, including the Fringe.fm. And we are also live on Periscope.tv every Monday through Friday night. Our YouTube channel, where we store our archives, is youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Hit the subscribe button for that. We would greatly appreciate it. And we're going to get to the password. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Anthropomancy. Anthropomancy is your password for tonight. Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Tonight, we are talking with author and researcher Julia Sellers, all the way over in Slovakia. We're talking out-of-body experiences tonight and dimensional travel. Julia, welcome back.
Thank you.
I love the talk of telepathy. It's one of those topics that I think we have not studied enough of, but it's just weird and very synchronistic when it happens, whether it's with animals, whether it's with people, or whatever it may be that has some sort of life force. Do you believe that we are currently getting telepathic messages from those on the other side, yet we're just not being able to translate them in our brains?
Oh, definitely. I mean, as I said, the telepathy does not only means that you are able to download or upload the whole sentences or the specific words. Telepathy is happening all around you all the time, 24/7, and it can come to you when you least expect that, right? So it can come to you with different synchronicities, right? It can come to you just like when you get goosebumps, right? Let someone talks to you about something, and the next thing you know is you get goosebumps, right? That's telepathy, because you are able to interact with what the other person was telling you, and by getting the goosebumps, actually you are confirming what the person tells you, right? Now you're able to get telepathic messages via your hair, via your skin, now via your internal organs. When you talk to someone about something, and then suddenly you get a feeling like in the middle of the chest, you get some kind of, you perceive some kind of a heat, right, in the middle of your chest. That's telepathy. That's telling you something. Sometimes you would get like in the middle of your belly, certain like when you get the stomach butterfly, we call it the stomach butterfly, right? Someone is telling you something and you just get a weird feeling in the middle of your stomach or in the middle of your belly. That's telepathy already happening to you. You just have to be sensitive enough in translating the weird feeling in the middle of your chest. If you are able to translate it into symbols, metaphors, physical words, then you're telepathic already. But not that many people are able to do that actually. Sometimes you would just get, like sometimes I would get different symbols in my third eye that I clearly see, not with my physical eyes, because of course my physical eyes are closed, and I still perceive certain images in the middle of my, like where your third eye is located, right? In the middle of your eyebrows, right? You get certain symbols there, and the symbols, if you know how to translate or interpret the symbols, you can get many, many words, many, many sentences, many, many written pages of one symbol only. Now, what I'm saying is that when it comes to human senses, right, you say, oh, people have 5 basic human senses, but in reality, we have many more, right? We have more than 5. And the other human senses that were not identified by sciences as of today are, for instance, cellular telepathy. Now, cellular telepathy is an inner direct cognition. I would call it an inner direct cognition, which could be either audio or visual. What does it mean? That you hear voices, you hear certain words, right? You hear certain sentences, and you know it's not coming from outside, but rather it's coming from within your own physical body. Because your physical body is not just your physical body, of course, right? We have many energetic or energy bodies, right? We have physical body, we have emotional body, we have mind body or thought body, we have light body, we have dark body, we have shadow body, we have spirit body. It's like layers of an onion. You peel off an onion, right? You know that there are many layers, so the physical body also have many layers to it. So the cellular telepathy is about inner audio or visual direct cognition, right? So what is it about? It's about ability of read or being able to read energy signatures. There are certain people that are able to read energy signatures, and the information that they are getting out of the energy signatures are in the form of the so-called inner audio and visual direct cognition. Now, you also have what I called molecular transformation or transmutation, and it's with the shape shifting. I'm not sure whether you heard or not, about shape shifting, but your own physical body can take different shape. It's called shape shifting, and it has something to do with the molecular transmutation. Now, when you are out of body, sometimes, really just sometimes, you are able to perceive your physical body in a form of a light bulb, or just light, or just like contours of your body that are transparent, different colors that are shimmering, that are moving like plasma, like different plasma, right? So your physical body is able to shape shift, and that's another part of our human senses that were not identified yet by the science. Then you have the so-called, the projection of consciousness, which is the out of body, or transmigration of consciousness, that you can project your consciousness elsewhere while you leave your physical body behind, so you wake up in the middle, of a night, your physical body is, fast asleep on your bed in your room, but yet there's a transmigration or projection of your consciousness and the consciousness was able to get beyond the physical body, the physical borders of your physical body, and is hovering about yourself and then leaves by the window and goes elsewhere. That's the projection of consciousness. That's what out-of-body experiences are about. Then you can also experience a so-called bilocation. And bilocation is higher than out-of-body experience in that you basically are able to perceive multiple holographic manifestations, which means that you are here, but with your physical body, you are there at the same time. That's what bilocation is about. And there were many saints in the past that were able to do the bilocation. There were some sensitive, gifted people like Alex Tannis. I'm not sure whether you heard about Alex Tannis. Alex Tannis is a guy, he's American, who was able to bilocate. So he was able, and it was confirmed, it was there was some veridicality to his experience in which he was able to be here and there at the same time. That's what's called bilocation or multiple holographic manifestation. Right? So when we come, when it comes to the holographic projection of your consciousness, right? Well, I'm saying that everything around us is not real. It's just a part of a holograph or holographic projection of our consciousness. Now, what's happening to my mind, and as I perceive it, as it was explained to me, is that time and space, as perceived by human beings, are just a result of a hologram, right? So basically, the hologram allows the human beings to conscious entities to experience motion and a time flow in their holographic experiences. Basically, time and space is an illusion, but the creation process, right, which includes both our experience of time flow and a space perception, right? It's experienced as real within the structure of what I call time matrix, right? And we experiencing it as real because we, as a human consciousness, is set up in the general time matrix, and the structure of time matrix is such as give the human being the perception of reality of time flow and space within the hologram, which it only seems like real, but is not real at all in the first place. Now, as long as the individual consciousness is stationed within the time matrix, okay, we are able to follow the holographic projection of our consciousness, which translates into time flow and space relations, but they are non-existent, right? As long as you live the time matrix, right, you see other things like Michael would experience, right? It's funny because it never happened to me, but Michael is a higher level than me when it comes to out-of-body experiences. Sometimes when Michael would project out-of-body, right? So he's clearly in an out-of-body state. He would see or perceive a specific object, let's say an apple, and I'll just explain it with the example of an apple. When you are in your physical body, you see an apple in front of you, and you can tell, there's a red apple in front of me. I see the shape. It's round, it's circular, whatever. It's red, yellow in color, whatever. But you clearly know that what I'm perceiving in front of me is an apple. But guess what? When you leave your physical body, or rather in the expanded state of consciousness, when you are out of body and you look at the apple, depending on how far you were able or how high you were able to get out of body, or which dimension you were able to cover out of body, right? You see the apple in a different state. So let's say that when you're out in your body, it's the 3D. You know that we human beings function within the 3D reality. But guess what? When you leave the body, you go to astral. That's 4D. You go to the 5th dimension, 6th dimension, 7th, whatever. You go up, up, and up, right? Now, when you get out of body and you are no longer perceiving things around you within the 3D reality, right? You look at the apple and you see the apple in a totally different shape, comparing as what the shape was when you looked at it within the 3D reality. So what I'm saying is that when you're out of body, you look at the apple. You don't see apple anymore. What you see, and again, depending on how high you got, to what dimension you were able to get when you're out of body, you see the apple as either just a circle. You see geometrical circle, right? You see a circle, but no longer an apple. You do not perceive a 3D red apple in front of you, but rather you see a circle in front of you, and you just kind of see the contours of the apple. So you see a circle, right? Something which is round. Now, the red color of an apple would switch to many different colors that are shimmering and moving around within the circle. So you see a circle, right? You see a shape which is, circular. You see many colors within the circle, and the colors ramp from red to orange, green, violet, whatever. Now, the colors are kind of moving and they're shimmering, right? Now, when you get even higher, right? Let's say you're in the 4th, in the astral, you go to 5th dimension, the apple starts communicate to you, right? You can get information from the apple. So the telepathic communication starts between you and apple. So what I'm saying is that the hologram or the holographic perception of the apple changes within each dimension. When you get about dimension 5, the whole apple disappears. You don't see no shape. You don't see no geometrical shape. You just know that there is something that communicates to you and gives you information. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, we are used to see with our physical eyes, or hear with our ears, touch with our hands, things or real objects that seem to be real within the 3D span of human consciousness. But as soon as you get out of your body and you switch or change the dimension, right? You also change the holographic projection of your consciousness, and you see something totally different from what you see when you within your physical body, and when you use your 5 basic senses to look and perceive the world around you within the 3D. And that's about holographic projection of your consciousness. So
Right.
basically, yeah.
Right. When we get to the whole telepathic side of everything, that communication from non-entities who are in front of us, does that communication come via a vibration? Does it come in words? How is it translated by our brain for us to understand, where we know it's maybe not imagination that is causing this, but the real message that we are supposed to hear?
Well, you never know. You cannot tell the difference. And the thing is that when it comes to telepathy and telepathic interactions with the non-human intelligence, right? Intelligences, it's kind of complicated because we have to talk about quantum physics to get into what really is happening. Now, I can tell you that there is a huge difference between downloading information or the so-called channeling. Now, if you communicate to whatever non-human intelligence, right, you can do it either via what we call channeling, or you can do it via direct vibrational cognition. Now, I said channeling and I said direct vibrational cognition. These two are they're not the same, okay? Number one, channeling happens via, when you channel, you are able to download information from whoever, the non-human intelligence, via electromagnetic radiation. And this is very important what I just said, because channeling only happens via electromagnetic radiations. But electromagnetic radiations, it's a very broad span, or it's broad in the frequency, right? You start with the radio waves, you go to infra, you go to visible light, you go to ultra X-rays, you go to gamma radiation, right? So electromagnetic microwave is a part of electromagnetic radiation. So when you're channeling, you're getting information with the electromagnetic radiation. But what is electromagnetic radiation? Part of the electromagnetic radiation is visible light. Visible light is only a small spectrum of electromagnetic radiation. Visible light starts with the red, turns to yellow, turns to orange, orange to green, green to blue, and what you have, right? Now, when you download information via electromagnetic radiation, you always do it with the oscillation. And I said oscillation because oscillations is different movement from vibration. When something is oscillating, right, it's coming up and down, up and down. There's the vertical there's vertical movement with every oscillation. So what I'm saying is that electromagnetic radiation is a vertical movement from up to down, up and down, up and down. It's oscillation, right? So when people interact with non-human intelligence via electromagnetic radiation, it is oscillation. But there's a different kind of interaction which is not oscillatory based, but rather vibrationally based. And vibration is no oscillation, right? Vibration is a movement it's a horizontal movement. So you're coming from vertical to horizontal movement, and these horizontal vibrations are very much different from the nature of electromagnetic oscillations. Make no mistakes, when we talk about vibration, right? Vibration is a horizontal movement of longitudinal mechanical sound waves, while electromagnetic movement or oscillations are in the form of transverse. It's so-called transverse waves, right? So we have longitudinal waves in the form of vibrations, and we have transverse waves in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So what I'm saying is that be aware, if you download information via channeling, which is electromagnetic radiation, which is oscillation or oscillatory movement, it's totally different from vibrations, because there's a good chance that when you download information telepathically via electromagnetic radiation with the oscillation, right, that the information given to you could be changed by whoever entity is giving you the information. And again, what I'm saying is that electromagnetic downloading is information that you take into your body via electromagnetic oscillations. But this information could be changed on the way to, whoever is giving it to you could already give you distorted information because it's coming via oscillations. But if you download vibrationally, horizontally, that's the longitudinal movement. That's information that comes from within yourself. It comes from a deep part of yourself. You are uploading it from within your own physical body, and this kind of information cannot be distorted on the way. Guess what? Because it's coming from within yourself, while the electromagnetic downloading or information or channeling is coming from outside. So you're taking into your body an outside information that someone or some entity is giving you. But guess what? You cannot trust that information. You only can trust the information that you are downloading from within your own body, and the only way of how you can upload information from within your own body is via vibration. Vibrational movement, longitudinal movement is what you want to do. If you channel, I'm not saying people do not channel. I'm not saying, people, you're doing a wrong thing when you're channeling, because still you are able to channel important information, but from outside, from someone else, via electromagnetic radiation. But if you get your own information from your own body, it is only happening via vibrations. I'm not sure whether this makes sense to you or not. I'm just saying that people be aware. There are two kinds of information you can get to your body. You are downloading from non-human intelligence, something which is from outside, but then you are uploading an information, that's something that comes from within your own body. No entity which is outside your body is giving you the information. And if you are fortunate enough to be able to distinguish the two, if you're able to to distinguish the downloading via electromagnetic information, if you're able to distinguish it with the vibrational information that is coming through your own body in an uploading mode, right? You are uploading it. Then you're good, because you're able to tell the difference, right? So this is how it works, and I hope that I did not get you confused, guys.
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. When it comes to what you said earlier about the Matrix being involved, does that include these multidimensional timelines that we are apparently coexisting on at the same time? If so, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, there are many parallel realities that are happening to us within the time matrix, but you have to be aware that it's more complicated than just that, because the time matrix itself have many dimensions, not many, but the time matrix itself has, to my mind, 12 main dimensions. It's 12 dimensions that the time matrix has. Now, each dimension has 12 smaller dimensions. So when you do 12 times 12, right, it equals 145. So when we talk about time matrix, we have to talk about 145 dimensions all together. Okay, the 12 main dimensions, we are in the third dimension, but there's 12 main dimensions, and each dimension, right, the first, the second, the third, they have 12 smaller dimensions within them. So we're talking 144 dimensions. Now, when you say 144 dimensions, just within the time matrix, I'm not talking other galaxies or systems. I'm talking solar system, right? Or our Milky Way galaxy time matrix that has 12 dimensions, because there are some people who are sensitive enough and able to perceive all 144 dimensions within our time matrix, but some people are able to get via stargates or different portals that exist on our planet to get to different galaxies and different systems that has nothing to do with our Milky Way time matrix, right? So yeah, the parallel realities are here. They exist. And the funny thing is that exists not in the past or in the future. They exist here and now, because there's the so-called eternal now. There is no past or future. And the funny thing is that time doesn't exist in space. As I explained, forward and backward is equal. So basically, you have to understand that sometimes when you see different bleed-throughs from other dimensions, right, that you are able to perceive either when you're out of body, but also when you're in the body, but you are in the so-called expanded state of consciousness, you're able to perceive different parallel realities that you can tell, oh, I just seen a future, or no, there is no future, there is no past. The parallel realities do exist on the same level as is now, because there is nothing but the eternal now. The time and space as such does not exist. Forward and backward is equal. Basically, you have to understand that our consciousness is made of the so-called scalar waves. And scalar waves are standing waves. Standing waves are specific non-Hertzian waves that are circular and sinusoidal in motion, right? And they extend into outer space and time. Scalar waves were heavily studied by Tesla. Tesla would deal with scalar waves, and Tesla would figure out, and that's why he was murdered, that's why all his work was stolen by KGB and the CIA, because he was one of scientists who would figure out that scalar waves are the potential standing waves that can be used in the future for getting a free energy out of them. So basically, human being as such was built in a way that human being is able to suck on the free energy that is within our own physical body on higher subtle levels in the energetic bodies, right? And you're able to, at certain frequencies, certain vibrations, certain oscillations, to kind of like get a hold of the free energy that sits within your physical body and feed on it for free. So basically, you don't have to get your energy from outside in the form of liquids, in the form of food, but rather, if you know how to tackle the vast amount of the free energy that sits in your physical body, in the middle of your chest, then you would stop drinking and eating, and the only thing you need is to suck the free energy out of your own physical system. Each of us, every human being is able to do that. It's just a question of how. So, as I said, that the 3D reality as we know it does not exist at all, and the human senses that we have, the 5 basic human senses, are rather just scalar wave apparatus that allow the personal energetic field to kind of like gather the frequency and translate the frequency from the dimensions into a perception that we call a 3D perception. Again, when you're out of body and when you happen to be in the 4D band or astral band or 5D, fifth dimension, you perceive time flow totally different. You perceive the space totally different. You do not see solid objects standing, right? Or moving. Rather, you see the objects moving in a wavy patterns. They're like waves. You know what a wave is? Like electromagnetic wave. So you see objects in a wavy motions. You see them talking to you. You see them in a different state of matter. It's not matter anymore, but rather it's semi-etheric matter, or it's like a liquid light, or rather it's like a plasma waves that are shimmering around you, and you are able to telepathically talk to them and experience them. And that's why the out-of-body experiences, actually what they do to you is they brought you closer to higher dimensions that make you realize that, wait a minute, there is more to a human physical being than the 3D gross matter dimension. There's more to it than just the matter, right? As soon as you get out of body and you get into the expanded mood of or expanded state of consciousness, you just start perceiving things very much differently comparing to what you perceive them when you're in your physical body in the confinement of a 3D reality. And, it's funny because with the phenomenology of out-of-body experiences, right, I can just tell you some things that are happening to you when you're out of body, what's happening to your senses, and you're under a sudden shock and you go like, oh my God, I left my body. What is the next step? What do I do? Why do I see what I see? I never seen that back in I'm not used to seeing these things when I'm in the 3D reality. So when you're out of body, actually, you go through certain vestibular or proprioceptive perception that is not there when you see things from within your body. Now, number one, there's a presence of variety of physical sensations, such as vibrations of various intensities, But the funny thing is that those vibrations are emanating directly from the inside of your physical body, right? So you can tell, you hear a noise or vibration or like buzzing or like bees that are buzzing around you. But the funny thing is that there is no bee in your room. The buzzing noise is coming from within your physical body, and it feels very strange. You can hear it with your ears, but again, it's coming from within yourself. Now, the next thing, okay, is that when you're out of body or when you're getting out of body, you can experience dizziness, brief states of vertigo, right, lightheadedness, right? Now, there's a sensation of your physical body shaking from side to side. And the funny thing is that your body, your physical body is not shaking. There's just a perception of like a pendulum. You know what a pendulum is? It's shaking from right to left, right to left. So you have a inner feeling of vibrating or shaking, right? From right to left, even though your physical body is not doing it, it's the inner motion of your energetic body that's moving from right to left. Now, sometimes you have you feel like you're falling into abyss or you're falling from above, right? Sometimes you have a sensation of floating, as I said. Sometimes it's sharp burning, very sharp burning in your sacral region at the back of your spine. Sometimes you're traveling through a tunnel, as I said. Sometimes you experience like there's a clear sense of ability of the experiencer to control their body remotely. So basically, you know that you're out of your body, but you still can control your body, right? There is a feel of disembodiment. So you know that my physical body is there, I am here, myself is somewhere else, but you still feel attached to your physical body. And guess what? Sometimes you see the silver cord. I'm not sure whether you heard of it or not, but there's a silver cord attached to your physical body. So even if you get out of body and you can fly vast distances, right? Your body is in your room, fast asleep, but your higher self is traveling interdimensional, different dimensions. But guess what? You have a sense of being attached to your physical body with the so-called silver cord. And I call it silver because sometimes it's silverish in color. Sometimes the color is like extremely white. It's like milky white color. And this cord is nothing which is tangible. You can put your hand through it. It's something which is intangible. It looks like a cord that extends from your belly, okay? And it goes all the way to your parasomatic or etherical body, and it just holds you together. So basically, even if you're out of body, do not be afraid that you're not gonna get back to your body.
I get that.
Yeah, because the silver cord is there to pull you back whenever you are ready, or even if you're not ready.
But a lot of people will actually panic when they look down and see that cord, and they'll start tugging on it like a rope, and it starts to thin out, and they go further and further away, and it's just a very stressful time for people who have had that experience, and I'm actually kind of glad I haven't.
Yeah, and you know what? It's exactly bingo. It's true what you said, but not that many people realize that there's nothing to fear about, because I'll tell you this, if you, a beginner, right, and the out-of-body experience just happened to you for the first time, as it happened to me back in the 90s, right, I was afraid too, because what pulled me back into my physical body was the fear of not being able to come back to my physical body. And even if the cord was there, guess what? It could even disappear from your vision. It means that you do not have to see it, but it's there, right? And you do not have to be afraid of, of not being able to go back to your body, because the cord is there. But guess what? The only instance that you are not be able to go back to your body is when you die. When you die, right, it means that the cord would disappear, okay? It would detach from your physical body. So what I'm saying is that, but it's funny because sometimes when you have out-of-body experience, the cord is not there at all. Some people would see it, some people would sense it, some people would experience it, some people only think it's there, some people would not see it at all, but it is there. So it's not like a must. It doesn't mean that when you're out of body that the cord has to be there. Not at all, because I had out-of-body experiences when I have seen the cord, when I was not able to see it, but I sense it. Sometimes I thought it disappeared and I would not be able to go back to my body, but it is there all the time unless you're dying. When you're dying, it will get disattached. That's the only instance, but it's there. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, I understand that people, can't fear that, I don't see the cord, or it's, I see the cord disappearing. Oh my God, I'm dying. No, you will be able to get back into your physical body because the cord is there. Regardless whether or not you are able to see that, it's just there, right? It's a part of our nature, of who we are, and there's no need to be afraid of not being able to get back into your physical body, as I said, unless you're dying. It's different with the near-death experiences, because when people are dying, sometimes, when you have near-death experience, you either die or you do not die. When you do not die, you come back and you tell the beautiful stories about what it was like dying and what you have seen and that stuff, right? And the cord is there. But sometimes, when people are experiencing the near-death state, right? And they are dead for 20 minutes. I mean, we have, there were occasions when the people were clinically dead, right? And we were able, the doctors were able to get them back to life, and they started to breathe. But those people sometimes would tell you, right. Oh, I was dead and, I clearly passed the tunnel and I clearly was dead and the cord disappeared. And they see the cord being cut off, but still they were able to come back into, life. And that's amazing, right?
So that cord can break. Now,
No. It only breaks when you are dying and when you are dead. Otherwise, there's no way the cord can break. No, it's not possible. No. So
we only have about 5.5 minutes left with you tonight, and it's gone very, very quickly. Very quickly. And, I want to say thank you for doing this. One more question in regards from our audience here. Yeah. And let me just pull it up here for a quick second here, because the chat rooms are moving very, very fast, and I seem to have misplaced that question. All right. Trip is asking, what do you recommend to get rid of the ringing or buzzing in the ears? He's been dealing with his for 18 years.
Well, it's the ringing or buzzing. It depends on whether or not it's a pathological situation. If it's pathological, then nothing can help. I know about the ringing and buzzing, but I can tell you this. If you have ringing or buzzing on a regular basis, and it means that you do not have it only when you leave the body, but you have it just regularly during the day, it's pathological and you better see a doctor. But even if you did and the doctors don't know what or how to deal with it, I have to tell you, there's nothing you can do about it, because I know there were pathological cases of people who had the ringing or buzzing in their ears, and they underwent surgeries, and as a matter of fact, during the surgeries, all people who had problems with buzzing and ringing and underwent surgeries, guess what? All of them have out-of-body experiences during their surgeries, right? So these out-of-body experiences were surgically elicited, but I can tell you there's nothing to do. I cannot recommend anything, because if you have the buzzing or ringing only when you leave the body, it will come and go. But guess what? If you have it all the time as a part of a routine everyday life, then there's nothing you can do, and you have an option to go ahead and have a surgery done. And even if it doesn't go away after the surgery, it will be there for the rest of your life. And I'm sorry to say that, because I know I talk to my clients and people who have the same problems, and nothing had helped at all. Even people who tried to have it removed surgically, it did not happen. So it's something that, I'm sorry, I don't think there is anything that can help. Sorry to say that.
Yes, tinnitus is a tough thing to have. It really is. I have it too, and it's sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
That's
true. But also, I have to tell you that it has something to do with emotions and with the emotional state of your being. If you want to work with your feeling and emotions, that the ringing in your ears is emotionally based. So you better work with your emotions, with the state of your emotions, with the moods, and stuff like that. So it's all connected.
We have about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight, and thank you so much for coming on once again. Where can people over here in North America find your book, and has it been translated and printed into English language?
Yeah, it's in English, and it is available on Amazon. But again, if you look for it, do not type Julia Sellers, the author, right? But go for Iris Christ. It's my pseudonym, and it's Iris K-R-S-T, Christ, K-R-S-T, or you just type in on Amazon the title of my book, which is I Have Seen It Tomorrow. Some of you want to check my Facebook, and you find me under Julia Sellers, the author. It's my fan Facebook. And Julia Sellers, there's many Julia Sellers, but I look for Julia with blonde hair, blonde hair, and Julia Sellers, and I Have Seen It Tomorrow. So you can, check out my Facebook. There's a lot of, things in English, and the book is in English on Amazon. But again, do not look under Julia Sellers. Rather go for Iris Curse, K-R-S-T, or just, type in, I Have Seen It Tomorrow, the title of the book.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a website as well?
I do, but it's in Slovak. But I know there's Google Translator, but you can go to www.julia.sellers.sk, SK as Slovakia, okay? So I do have a website, but it's in Slovak. For those of you who want to, use Google Translation, you can go ahead and try that. So www.julia.sellers.sk, Sellers, S-E-L-L-E-R-S. Hello.
Yes, Julia, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. And I want to say that I actually used Google Translate in order to get to your website at juliasellers.sk. It works.
Oh, you did?
Okay. It works fine. It works fine.
Great.
I really appreciate you doing this and stepping on in. And hopefully some of our listeners will go over to Amazon and get your book.
Yep.
All right. Coming up in hour number 3 on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to be joined by Sunday host Tessa Nicole Thomas. We're going to continue the talk on OBEs, NDAs, and all sorts of paranormal stuff. We'll get to the thought of the day as well right after this. Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We are lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on SpacedOutRadio.com.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on SpacedOutRadio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you are seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at SpacedOutRadio.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter online only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. Ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, we step back into the paranormal with author Nicole Strickland. We're going to talk paranormal practices tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, including the Fringe.fm, and you can follow us on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. That's where we store our archives. Just hit the subscribe button on that. I would appreciate that. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Anthropomancy. Anthropomancy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the Encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. We thank our first guest of the night, Julia Sellers, all the way from Slovakia, talking about out-of-body experiences and multi-dimensions, telepathy, and so much more. In hour number 3 here, we bring in Spaced Out Sunday host, Tessa Nicole Thomas. And Tessa, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. And hey, everybody, how's it going?
Have you ever had a out-of-body experience?
I haven't intentionally, but there have been 2 occasions in my life where I'm pretty sure it was an out-of-body experience. Once when I was in MRP in Camp Geiger, Camp Lejeune, and I actually had this sleep paralysis thing going on, but right before that, I was trying to walk through the barracks and into the bathroom, aka head, and I was having to hold myself up on everything. Basically, I felt like I was really, really drunk. The second occurrence with that was a few months ago. I was house sitting for a friend and laying on the couch, and I was feeling sleepy. And then all of a sudden, I was falling off of the couch and having trouble getting up, and had that like really drunk baby feeling. And then all of a sudden, without even doing it, I was back on the couch again. I've never intentionally done it. I'm afraid if I leave my body, I won't make it back. But listening tonight, about the the tether, that was pretty interesting. Makes me not so worrisome about it, and maybe something I might try someday.
I don't want to try it. There's just something about it that absolutely freaks me out. And I know I would be one of those panic people who is literally trying my damnedest to pull on that cord to get back to my body. And I think that would be just way too, how do you put it? Way too freaky for me. I could see myself having like a total anxiety attack with that.
Yeah, definitely. I've really just never wanted to. I'm afraid I won't make it back, and another worry for me about it is maybe somebody will move in while I'm out. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, definitely not on my top 10 list of things to do.
That is actually a very good point that you make there. I wonder if, paranormally speaking, if a spirit could take over your body while you are astral traveling or having an out-of-body experience. I mean, do you protect yourself? Because out-of-body experiences can be so quickly, what's the word I'm looking for? It can happen so quickly that you don't even know that it's happening. I find that very strange.
Yeah, it is very strange, and just the way it felt when it did happen to me the first time with the sleep paralysis, I was fighting so hard to get back out of it. Once we were called to line up for chow, that for about a week later, all my muscles, every muscle in my body was sore, and just the feeling of, being basically a drunk baby is what it felt like. I just felt like gelatin and couldn't get up, and it's just, I don't know. I felt way too out of control, and that's not fun for me.
When it comes to astral travel, then, have you astral traveled?
I have not. I know several people that have, and they really seem to enjoy it, and there's different, things that they do, mostly fighting dark entities, and some descriptions, somebody was saying they were throwing pink fluffy bunnies at the dark entity, and it didn't like it because it was joy and happiness or whatever, but I don't know. I've really actually been skeptical for it a long time, but listening to the show and different people's experiences for the last year or so has really, changed my mind on things. But no, I haven't astrally traveled, and I actually have a hard time even just meditating, staying still enough to do that, so I don't know if I would be a good candidate for that.
That's the whole problem for me, is this whole meditation thing. When does one actually find time in the day to do it? I mean, my day, from the time I get up until the time I go to bed, it is packed. I don't have 5 minutes. And if I'm in the shower, I don't want to use that energy to meditate. That just seems like I'm deflating the purpose of my own free time. And I'm not sure I want to do that.
Yeah, it is hard to find time. I mean, all of our lives are so busy and packed with so many things, and it's nice to come on here and listen to the speaker and kick back with everyone in Spreaker and get our chat on, and that's, kind of a release for me. I don't really feel like I need meditation because, that's one form of release for me. And but yeah, where do they find the time? And they kind of mockingly say, well, there's time in the day, which I'm sure there is, but I just can't find the time to make that time at this point.
I mean,
but
when you were like you and I are quite similar. We have children. We have a spouse to take care of. There's chores to be done. There's work to be done. There's so much to be done during the day. I'm almost kind of jealous of these people who have like, I need 30 minutes of meditation daily. Otherwise, my chi is just not right.
My chi is not Zen.
Exactly.
But I do actually recommend it a lot to people when they are going through paranormal issues and finding trouble grounding or shielding. I'll lead them towards meditation because that's some sort of a start off practice to get into those things. Even though I'm good at grounding and I'm good at shielding, I'm not good at meditating. So maybe I should just work backwards. But yeah, it is a a point of jealousy. Where do you find that time? Like, I feel like I barely even have time to breathe during the day sometimes. But kids are great. I love them.
Absolutely, kids are great. It has nothing to do with the children. It's just a matter of, trying to schedule time for yourself. And then when you finally get that time for yourself, does your mind actually slow down enough to be able to even try and meditate? Because I know, like, even when my little guy is home, like, for instance, tomorrow, my little guy will be home with me because he doesn't have preschool tomorrow, and we'll be hanging out here. And I may be in the studio here doing some work for the show, but there's always that attention span that is on what is he doing? Whether he's in his toy room or he's, upstairs playing in his bedroom or watching, Megalodon videos on his iPad, whatever he is doing. I mean, there's always attention that needs to be focused there. So I find it difficult. I'm sure you got to think it's the same way.
Yeah, it's like mental multitasking, but even trying to quiet my mind at night to get to sleep, I find difficult because you're thinking of the next day and, all the things you need to do and people you need to contact, et cetera, and I don't know, it's just a quieting the mind thing. So I kind of trick myself into getting sleepy by turning a show on, generally paranormal, and I'll turn the lights all the way down on the brightness on my phone, and it makes my eyes tired, which in turn makes me tired. So that's kind of a method I've been using lately to quiet my mind and try not to focus and just zombie out on a show or two before I drift off to sleep.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I actually fall asleep the same way. I actually, when I am literally done the show, I take about an hour and a half to kind of bring myself down, and then I have to listen to something in order to pass out. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people do that because the brain is always moving, and the brain is so stimulated. Trying to calm the brain down, it sucks sometimes, especially when, you're in the position we are where there's a lot of competition out there. There is a lot, you got to be on your game and try and bring your A game every night, and that is difficult. That is totally difficult. It really is. There's a lot of pressure on it. And Lord knows you can't sleep during the day, Tess.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. Exactly. Exactly. I want to get into a little bit of paranormal talk with you because tomorrow night on the program, Nicole Strickland is going to be with us. She has written a book about the ghosts of Queen Mary, and we're going to talk paranormal practices tomorrow. So when it comes to the paranormal, you're somebody who's been investigating since 2012, so you got almost 6 years into this as an investigator. When you are going through your own practice or you're bringing somebody new into your Four Corners Paranormal team, what do you look for? What are you searching for in a new potential investigator?
I like open-mindedness, but, sometimes we like to bring skeptics in as well. It's good to have just a plethora of people on your team, as far as religions and awareness and open-mindedness. But I strongly believe the more open-minded you are, the more encounters you'll have. But it's also nice to have that person that can look at it in a scientific way or a speculative way and, try to somewhat ground you. If it's a bunch of believers all together, then it's easy to get off track. But yeah, open-mindedness and also a team player. You don't want to have somebody on your team that's cutting somebody else down or, it's their way or no way. Because I don't think there is an exact way to do it, and that's why, it's investigatory, and we use different tools and techniques, and, not one thing works on every case, Sometimes it's a different piece of equipment. But yeah, team player, open-minded, and well-grounded. and someone who is smart, about protecting themselves. And I feel like we have a great group. They're very diverse, and they have a great positive energy. That's also a thing that we look for. We don't need any negativity to go with us because we have enough of that on most of our cases.
So when you are choosing the team and you have, say, somebody who's really into provocation of a spirit, or you have somebody who is all about the science and nothing about the open mind and the concept of, getting in touch with that, I think I'm going to use the word intuitiveness that each and every one of us has. How do you define to shape them into what you need rather than what they think it's supposed to be? Because I think in the paranormal, there is a very, very different way that everybody investigates. Some people believe they are conducting everything scientifically. Others believe that they're just there for the fun and the experience, while others are trying to figure out a quest of what's really going on the other side, and how do we prove its existence?
Well, we have two different groups. We have just a general FCPI group, and then we have an FCPI core group. And all of these people, which were over 15 now, but we'll call a monthly meeting and we'll see who shows up. And generally, it's the core group that shows up, and the regular group just doesn't have time for it. But if you go out on a hunt or an investigation or something fun to them, then they'll want to show up. So, it's just time and error, and, keeping records and knowing who's actually vested in it. If they're not taking it seriously, they're not allowed to go. If they don't want to come to the meeting, which why wouldn't you come? We have food and fun and everything all the time, but they need to be educated on protection and what different entities and how the equipment works. And there's so many different things we go over: UFOs, aliens, abductions. We try to cover all of our bases, and if they don't want to show up to educate themselves, we don't allow them to go on an investigation, because we don't want to put the client in harm's way. We want them to get the best out of us that they can. And if they're not going to take it seriously, they're not going on a hunt. And we've had people drop out because of that, but it really doesn't hurt my feelings any. It's not hard to get away on the weekend for an hour or two to educate yourself if it's so easy for you to come out on a hunt. And that's kind of how we weed them out and figure out who's going and who's staying home.
And I can understand that, but in the end, what do you think the goal should be? And I realize you're biased because you have your own paranormal team, but what should be the goal of a paranormal investigation?
Our goal is to find the story, and sometimes, like with Kate Johnson, the first day we were there for just a preliminary investigation, she came out and gave us everything we needed to know, and we discovered, it was fact. And we're able to discover what religion, etc. Our goal is to help people, living and deceased, and it's not all about the fun and giggles and raised awareness or just getting the fun out of it. That's not what we're there to do. We're there to do a job, and our job is to help people find peace, or some people actually need medical and mental treatment. But for the most part, most of our cases are legitimate, and that's our goal, is to help people, and that's why we do educate ourselves. We don't want to go out just to, and we don't allow people to go out and insult the spirits, because there's an amount of respect that you have to have for both the living and the deceased, and I don't allow them to put down the ghost or rile them up, because that could make the situation worse for the client before we can get back, or cause different issues.
Do you find, though, that because everybody is kind of sitting around and, having their own type of thoughts as to what an investigation should end, what you should do with the evidence, there are so many questions that need to go on there. Do you find that when you are in that process of investigating, that your team all has different ideas of what you should be finding, or do you try and bring it all together under one banner and say, okay, this is what we found, this is what we could take to the client, this is what we're taking back with us, and we need to break it down to try and find out what is causing this? How does that work?
By gathering evidence, and we do, take each other's advice, and mostly we're on the same ground as far as what we think should happen. We had a guy on our team that called himself, what was he, like a release something, like he would go in specifically to release the spirits, and not all spirits want to be released. It's all a matter of what we found in the case, what the spirit wants or needs. Sometimes they want to be released. Sometimes they just want to be heard. But yeah, finding their story, finding the evidence, and having a conference about it. We have a meeting and discuss it, pros and cons, etc., and end up generally cleansing or stones, or a lot of it has to do with the person's faith that we're dealing with as well, because faith is a strong thing. If they don't have faith in something you're doing, they're not going to follow your advice. If you have a Wiccan come in there, or a pagan or whatever, and it's a strict Catholic family or strict Christian family, they might not want our help anymore. But it does really depend on the spirit if you are trying to get rid of it, or the dark entity. There's so many different things and ways to do it. I mean, it's hard to really just pin it down to one. But yeah, we like to educate the person in the house, because they are the higher power, and to let them know that they are stronger than whatever is there, because we don't want them to feed it, the fear or anger from the fighting that's caused because of this dark entity. And so just, building their confidence in themselves, teaching them how to cleanse and use stones and salt, and sometimes even religious medallions.
Do you think that with the paranormal and the way there are so many different teams with so many different ways to quantify what they are doing out in the field, do you believe that there's not enough focus out there in regards to working together to try and solve this issue of life after death? Or do you feel that the multitude of ways that there are to investigate, that it's good for the field because there are so many eyeballs looking in so many different directions?
I think it's good to have a multitude of ways, because like I said before, no case is the same. One thing that works on this case might not necessarily work on the other, and it could actually exacerbate the situation and make it worse. So I think it's good to have different ways and diversity on your team. And I've noticed there are some teams out there that are just about, the ego or whatnot. But I have also noticed with the National Ghost Hunting Day, para-unity, teams coming together and sharing their information, and what worked for them, what didn't, and with what sort of entity they were working with. So I think the more cases that we get and the more different methods that are used, you can kind of add it up and see what actually works for this sort of entity and what actually works for this. And like I said, taking into account the free agency of the spirit. We're not just there to release them. That's their choice.
So in the end, with some spirits who do not want to cross over, there are a plethora of people out there who feel it is their job, no matter whether the spirit wants to go or not. Who gives them the right to decide what the spirit wants? And should there be a process with that?
I think there should be a process or stipulations on that, because it's not right going against a person or a spirit's free agency. They have the choice to be here or go there. It's not up to the person and their ego and this is what I do and so this is what's going to happen. That's not right in inflicting your will onto something or someone else. So, it would be nice if the paranormal was regarded in a way as with humans as far as spiritual rights and having a process and finding out, does this spirit want to be released or not? If it does, then bring that person in. But I don't think they do have a right to assert their will upon a spirit and make them leave. They have no right whatsoever.
So is that a power-tripping ego on this side of the equation? Or is it something where a lot of these people who do it feel that we need to cleanse these spirits out so they don't go rogue or turn evil on us and start attacking people? What would be the reasoning behind that?
I think some of it is power-tripping and some of it could just be how a person was taught and what they believe. If they think it's just this way and no other way, then, maybe they were just taught wrong. But to me, it doesn't make it any better or any more right, because it's not their right to do that.
See,
yeah,
I see it as an ego. I see it as an ego thing. I really do see it as an ego thing in regards to the investigator, because I know people who feel it is their job to cleanse a place of the ghost, whether the ghost wants it to stay, whether the client wants it to stay because they're getting along, but they're just curious. I think there's a lot of ego involved and a lot of BS, but, let's face it, everybody can power trip on everything. They really can. And I see some people who are probably, weak in life wanting to power trip on this because they feel they have the authority and you could even say the audacity to play in control of someone or some things' lives, whether it's on this side of the veil or the other side.
Well, and there is free agency. Like with Kate, she was released and a few months later she came back. But she wasn't trapped in that little immigrant car that she was before. She was able to move freely about the grounds of the railroad station with this little girl, Emmy, and she came back to protect her. So, they can use their ego and they can release all the spirits they want, but that doesn't mean they won't come back, and that doesn't mean that's not going to piss them off and make it worse when they do come back, But yeah, like I agree with you. Most of it is ego, but I think some of it is ignorance.
Now, explain ignorance there, because that's a powerful word in regards to it, and that's a real human occurrence.
Well, just the ignorance of, that's their belief system, that's how they were taught, so that's what they're going to do. I think it's ignorant to just have one set way when there's so many ways out there. There's not just one right way, but for them, that's all they can see because that's how they were raised and taught, and so they're ignorant to a certain extent because they refuse to see what else is out there. So it's just a matter of not expanding their mind or their horizons and opening themselves up to bigger and better things. I mean, I don't know. But like you said, I think the majority of it is ego. I think they do get a power trip and a rise out of it doing this. But yeah, just the way they're raised and just being closed-minded for the ignorance issue.
It reminds me of people who go on power trips, because they're part of a strata council.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's always strata council guy who wants to pull the big harassment of spirits in the haunted places. That's what it is. We're going to call that person strata council guy. That's the way they act.
Yeah.
Strata Council guy, the power tripper. You know, and I mean that with all due respect. I really do. But I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you've heard us talk on this show, you know, so many times about the way investigations happen and, you know, what's right, what's wrong. I don't think there is any solution that is going to happen. I thought, you know, about a year ago or so, I thought maybe, just maybe, something could be done with it. I don't see it happening. I think it's just way too off kilter and off base to get this into some sort of control and a semblance. Do you find that it's best to stay out of touch with other teams in the paranormal field because there is really no coordinated effort to investigate or come up with an investigative plan or booklet to be used by numerous different groups?
Well, I've worked with Forest Moon Paranormal on quite a few cases, and they've actually been compiling all the different things that do work for them and the different methods and the different religions and different religious ways and blessings, etc., etc. And they've had people come from all over the United States just to be there with them and, you know, work boots on the ground with them. And they also do the astral things. So I think there is hope. And I do enjoy, you know, meeting and speaking with other teams and working with them. But generally, we're pretty busy. We're so backed up on our cases over here. It's hard to even keep up, but I think it's important to share information and to try to work together and share experiences. Not everybody has had the same experiences, so the more we can share, the more we can learn and expand our knowledge of such things.
Kevin says, if you have rats in a home, you call an exterminator. If you have a spirit or entity that is troublesome to a family and will not allow them to live in a home in harmony, then you cleanse a home. Absolutely. That's not what we're saying. There are a lot of people out there, and we've had it even happen at our museum tour, where people come in and, oh, I'm cleansing this spirit out. I'm cleansing this spirit out. And we have a number of spirits who will say, we're staying. Well, whose right is it to say that they should leave? I mean, everybody and everything has a freedom of choice, or at least you would hope. And I think that's the whole message of it, Kev. So I agree with you. If it's a nasty spirit that needs to be cleansed out of there and you got to call some sort of ghost-busting team, absolutely, get it out of there. You don't want it traumatizing children or families in their own home where they don't feel comfortable, or it attaches to somebody and it follows them to their next location. You don't want that. You know, but there's a lot of brazen people out there, right, Tess, who just feel it's their own godly will to do it. The Strata Council Ghostbuster.
Yes.
We're coming up with another term. Strata Council Ghostbuster. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I agree with Kevin. When it does come to your home and your family, there are ways to cleanse it and ways to put up a barrier to keep it out. But when you're going out to locations that are open to the public, just like the Durango Silverton Railroad Station, we're in talks with a paranormal team that was well known and on TV, and they were having talks about bringing them in and doing the show. But their main thing at the end of every show is catching a ghost and taking it back to the lab, which they never do. But Jeff, the museum curator, is so protective of his ghosts there, he wouldn't allow it. So, I mean, if they're good, let them stay. If they're bad, get rid of them, make them move on somewhere else. And there are ways to do that. But just to go out somewhere and do it automatically, when spirits and people can peacefully coexist, you know, once you put your foot down and tell it, hey, it's either this or you have to leave, it'll calm down and, you know, get better for everyone, quit causing contention and fights and divorces and illnesses. Different strokes for different folks, you know, and different things work. But yeah, I mean, I agree. get rid of this negative energy. And it's even been scientifically proven that sage does work. It turns the negative ions in the air into positive ions, and that alone can help, drastically for both the human and the spirit, because we all, are energy, basically. We all have energy within us, and ghosts are energy. They can appear or not, or mostly they appear as orbs. But yeah, I do agree with cleansing and protecting the family in their home. But sometimes there have been a few cases where, the land is just not meant for humans to be there, Even the natives have put up a barrier. That's where they put their trash and their unwanted spirits, and nobody should live there. And people go in and actually build and, get sick and end up dying. I mean, there's so many different things that we're learning. It's just crazy. And I enjoy it because I love learning new things and new ways, and it's interesting. It's like a mystery. There's a mystery to solve.
You need a mystery machine. You need a mystery machine. That's for sure. That is for sure.
I actually have one. I just need to get it cleaned out and refurbished.
Oh, that would be awesome. You got to paint it
Yeah.
mystery machine colors. But getting back to the whole tourism side, there's a lot of people who rely across North America on paranormal tourism in order to create revenue, to create money. Maybe it's their job, their career. And all of a sudden you have, and I know somebody who's done it personally, they go to these haunted tourist sites and they try and clear the spirits while they're there. I mean, I wonder if somebody could actually get sued for that, for taking away spirits from a haunted location, which could affect income if they do it properly.
Yeah, it's just a matter of proving it. Like, how do you prove that when it's hard to prove the paranormal anyways, unless you're really there on a hunt, or an investigation, and you're just seeing it on TV. Like, anything can be done in video and photography anymore, so it's hard to decipher truth and fiction, and what's entertainment and what's reality when it comes to these shows. But yeah, I keep thinking I've heard of a case that was like that they actually won, but I'll have to look that up.
Well, I mean, think about it, though. I mean, if you are relying on these spirits for paranormal tourism, okay, like, for instance, if I had someone try and cleanse the museum that I do the tour at, I know people who would be absolutely livid, including the people who run the museum. They would be livid. Because who is this person to take away that source of income that the museum needs in order to help survive, since it's a non-profit?
Yeah, and ghost tours are a big thing these days because people are becoming more open-minded, having more experiences and seeing, documentaries or hearing stories from their friends. And there is actually a pool for ghost tours and, going to a haunted hotel to sleep and such. So you would think someone going in there and doing that and destroying their economy of their business, I mean, putting them in the poorhouse, there should be some sort of action they could file. But like I said, it's a matter of proving it, and who's going to be your judge. You need a pretty open-minded judge that's going to listen to you, but generally you don't get to pick.
No, I fully understand with that. That is for sure. So when it comes to ghost investigators, do you believe then that you should try and use your own intuition while you are on an investigation, or should you be solely reliant on equipment?
Oh, I definitely use my intuition and my gifts, and my main thing is I listen to my gut, because it's never led me astray. Like, my mind can overthink things, or my heart can lead me somewhere else, but my gut has always been true to me and never proven wrong. So I do use my intuition, and I do try to listen with an open mind, and I have gotten several messages and feelings and and you can tell when there's something dark, or if a spirit is in, or is in distress and needs help. But yeah, because equipment can be flawed, especially with, the power surges and batteries being drained, and interference in your video or your voice recording. I mean, so many things can go wrong. And each time we've tried to do the National Ghost Hunting Day, we have had epic equipment failure as far as our video and live feed, and certain recordings and videos just erasing themselves and being non-existent. They were there and then they're gone. But I think it is important to listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, and don't be blind to things.
So why is intuition have such a bad taste in a lot of ghost hunters' mouths? Why do they refuse to use it, believe in it?
I don't know. Maybe those are the scientific skeptic people. Our team goes a lot by our triggers, like, the hair raising on the back of your neck or your arm, and the intuition, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain the feeling that you get and the acknowledgement and everything within yourself to decipher things. It's hard to rely on equipment because, this is built by somebody you don't know. Is this actually a reliable thing? Our EMF detectors are great. We have an EMF detector and an EMF antenna and several different other EMFs. But I think it is important to listen to your intuition and your gut, and not to rely solely on your equipment, because I think the more you do, the more your gift is going to fade. You need to put that into exercise and use it. And I don't really see anything wrong with it, and I don't understand why teams would be against it unless they're just there to debunk.
The word I hate of the paranormal, debunk. Shout out to Leo in Periscope, who says the barn photo that we've got of the ghost on the stairs has become his new screensaver on his computer. Thanks, Leo. I appreciate that. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you for that. What's the best piece of evidence you've ever received? Photographic, video, whatever it could be.
For us, it's been photographic. We have a picture of Kate and Emmy, and when I first saw it, I was like, okay, so this little girl was here, but the lady behind her that's all blurry, like trying to get out of the picture really fast, like that's the entity. And no, both individuals were not there, and it was taken with a game camera, and they're clear as day. And then we got another picture of the brakeman who had stabbed Kate's fiancé to death, and he's a creepy looking guy. He reminds me a lot of the Joker, and he's just evil. You could just see it in the picture. For the most part, we get orbs and stuff, but on my website we have another one that it looks like ectoplasm, and you can actually see the face in it. So yeah, our pictures are the biggest thing as far as knowing that we caught something. And we have also gotten EVPs, which are awesome. Video, you can see orbs flying around and stuff. We have not ever caught a full figured spirit on video. Mainly it's orbs and what all is happening in the investigation. We like to record that to get a play-by-play. We also have another picture from one of our more recent ones at a house out by Lake Durango. And the story that we got from our investigation was that she used to lock the kids in their rooms while the husband was away. She was like the evil stepmom. And one day the house caught on fire. And in our picture, she looks like a skeleton, and it looks like her head is on fire. So those are our hardcore, this is definitely a ghost. That's our most hardcore what is the word?
Yeah, and I can understand that, and I can believe that. But do you think, let's say you got the mother of all pieces of evidence that proves without a shadow of doubt this is going on, would you release it? Would you go public with it, knowing the criticisms or the attitude that many of your peers in the ghost hunting field would have?
We do release them. We put them on our website and also our Facebook page. And we really haven't gotten any negative feedback. Most people are baffled and blown away by it and excited at the notion that there is life after death. And it's a nice thing to be able to spread that to people so they do have more peace in life, because we live in a crazy world, and it's nice to have some positivity, but we really haven't had any backlash on that. Occasionally you'll get a troll in there to try to pick your stuff apart, but they're very few and far between on my page, so I haven't really experienced a lot of backlash on it, but that's not to say it won't ever happen. And there's so many apps out there anymore where there's ghosts in different angles and different distances in the pictures, and generally you can see those right away. But I mean, it's kind of mocking our field. I mean, it's fun to have those pictures if you're a teenager or a paranormal enthusiast, but it kind of downplays what we are doing, and it's easy for someone to look at it and be like, oh, that was photoshopped or that's fake. But I don't know, just my knowledge of knowing what we captured when we captured it, and I don't know, it's really a really cool feeling.
I can honestly say, after some of the comments I got when I released that barn photo and I did it as a test, I don't know if I would again. I really don't know if I would release, if I had that mother shot of, say, a Bigfoot that is like 10 feet in front of me, or something along those lines, or an alien like Carl again, or a video of it happening. I really don't know if I would release it. And I'm being completely serious here. Because I don't think, with the way the internet is and everybody has the right answer as to what is going on the internet. Like I remember with that ghost hunt, I had a guy who used to be on this show said, yeah, I saw that picture of the ghost on the stairway 7 years ago. Well, no, you didn't. No, you didn't, because it just happened a couple months ago. But that's the attitude of the paranormal. Like, when you get that great shot, everybody doesn't want to believe it. Nobody wants to believe that film. And I think that footage is out there. I really do believe that footage is out there. That is just the footage beyond footage, whatever it is. And my recommendation to them is do not release it. Absolutely do not release it.
Or maybe if you do, release it to someone that, is widely known and for their records, just so they can build up enough evidence to prove that there are such things in this world. But, there's people out there that aren't happy unless, they're unhappy and making other people unhappy, and, they get no joy out of their day unless they're tearing someone else down. So I don't really let that get to me, but I understand where you're coming from with that. But I would definitely, if you don't put it out publicly, put it to a neutral source that will be able to put it in a catalog and, build up some evidence for the paranormal, and, that way we can have certain bills for spirit protection, etc.
All right, we're going to get to the thought of the day right now. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook page. Then we get you guys to come on in and join us for the answers. And I tell you, today's Thought of the Day, we got some really, really good answers towards our question, which was, what do you think happens during an OBE or an NDE, so not a body experience, or a near-death experience? Tessa, we'll go with you first on that. What do you think happens?
With an out-of-body or near-death experience?
Yes.
I don't know. I've heard, I haven't experienced it, but I've heard from different people generally the same story of being in a field and seeing a bright light off in the distance and walking towards it. Just in the news the other day, there was a little boy, and it was the day before they were going to pull the plug on him, and he came back and told his story about being in a field and seeing the light and, you know, just feeling love and walking towards it. And he said all he could accumulate that to was God, you know, and it was a miracle. And I know, you know, people don't have the same faith, but once you're on the other side and it's there, it's there. But then there's the thing of, you know, your heaven is your belief. So if you don't believe in anything, maybe that's why we have earthbound spirits besides suicide, etc. It's hard to say, as I haven't been there yet.
Well, let's get to some responses. Let's go to Goddess Michelle on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. She says, I think it depends on the person. I myself have seen myself on the table, the doctor yelling for help, then another being talked me back into my body, or talking me back into my body. He said, I had so much to do. I was 20, and I was giving birth to my son. That's an incredible, incredible story right there. Danny says, it happened to me the first time I smoked pot as a teenager. I could see myself sitting... Yeah,
Sorry.
I was trying to keep a straight face on that one. Danny, you made me laugh. I know you're listening. He says, I could see myself sitting in the chair. To this day, I wonder if it was laced with something else. Makes me believe psychedelics could unblock that part of the brain. That being said, #don't do drugs. That is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. The Yeti guy on Twitter, and I know he's in Periscope right now. Thank you for submitting. He goes, I entered a tunnel floating towards a light. I could see my granddaughter, my dog, and a man in the background. There was a lady to the left that told me, no, no, no. I woke up 8 days later. I had 2 Widowmakers 8 days apart. I died for 4 minutes. Now, he also told me as well that his dog had died and his granddaughter had passed away as well, number of months previous, or in previous time. So that is very interesting to see them over there. Mark states, love the theory that the flashing before your eyes experience is your brain trying to find a cure to your death. That may have overcome before earlier in life. What do you think about that one?
Well, that brought up a medical study that said there is actually still an electrical or energy at the base of the skull and the top of your neck, and it's there for at least 10 minutes after the person has died, and they're not sure exactly what it is. So it kind of gives way to that. I don't know, that just brought that to mind. I'm sorry, it was probably totally off topic.
Still very interesting indeed, though. Very interesting. Let's go over to Facebook. Tim says, not sure. Might be dreams, semi-consciousness, memories. The brain is a weird thing. We only use a little bit of its ability. And that is true. We really don't know. We can surmise what the brain is doing, but we really, truly do not know. Michael, consciousness having an excellent adventure. Yes, Bill and Ted coming back for part 3. I'm so excited. So excited about that. Charles, the body or the being leaves the body it inhabited and may or may not return to it. Christine has a good one here, so I'm going to take some time with this one. OBE is a fundamental dissociation. It usually, not always, begins happening as a coping mechanism because of severe trauma in early childhood. I feel like we're in for a lecture here. Because we are still new in this dimension. Our brains haven't yet made any neuronic connections or shortcut grooves and made heuristics to navigate this world. Some forget this as they learn healthier ways of navigating life. Now, for the NDE, white light at the end of the tunnel is the optical nerve shutting down. Seeing friends and family. When the brain is shutting down, it releases DMT. DMT is a highly psychoactive substance that causes hallucinations. I'm not saying the hallucinations aren't real. I believe DMT allows us to reach other dimensions. If one were to take an X-ray at the moment of death when DMT is secreted, you would see an entire brain is partially compartmental. Very interesting indeed. And we're going to get Carla's in here right off the bat, or to end this one. She goes, I'm not even going to pretend to understand why or what of an OBE. I just know that other than the first one that scared me, they have for the most part been wondrous, exhilarating experiences. I don't know if I want one. I really don't. You excited for Sunday night, Tess?
I am totally excited. I'm stoked.
Big debut for you Sunday night on Spaced Out Sunday. Tess and Nicole Thomas. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to it, too.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple great gals in there. And, I mean, there's so much to talk about with them as far as, psychic and medium abilities and different things that they've learned. And, of course, doing readings. I know everyone loves those. I used to tune in for Psychic Sundays to get my readings. So I'm pretty excited and happy to introduce these girls and get some more people in.
Good. You hold on. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Tessa Nicole Thomas, Spaced Out Sundays. We also want to thank Julia Sellers coming in all the way from Slovakia to say hello and talk about out-of-body experiences as well. Her website, juliasellers.sk, not .com, .sk for Slovakia. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Tomorrow night on the program, Nicole Strickland will be back, paranormal author, adventurer of the Queen Mary. We're talking paranormal practices tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. Want to say a big thank you to everybody listening at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. A special shout out to everybody at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, also on Spreaker, the Periscope chat. You guys were awesome tonight as well. And, of course, the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Thanks for sharing our shows, talking to people about it, coming on in, dragging new people in, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.
1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching.